Banky, man. Everybody calls me Banky. That's the name that I got from my grandmother when I was young. I'm coming out here after 30 years. Yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm gonna have something because I'm rich in personality, you know, and I'm rich in love. My family love me, and that's really all that counts. Shout out to everybody out there on Team Banky Pound, man. I appreciate the love. Appreciate the support. 33, man. 33 years of prison stories. We out here. We rolling on the road to 100K. I appreciate all the support. Appreciate all the love, man. All the love, man. It's well received, man. I give it back to you. Man, I want to talk today about a dude, man, that people was bringing him up in my comments, so I wanted to go back and touch on a little bit about him, because I think I don't think I did a whole video on him. I think I just spoke about him in videos, so people was kind of intrigued about him. And I'm talking about suicide, man. Suicide, a.k.a. To me, Sammy Davis Jr. Man, this dude looked just like Sammy Davis Jr. I kid you not, man. Every time I looked at him, that's the first thing that came to my mind was how much he looked like Sammy Davis Jr. Man, he had the body size, the body type. His hair was like Sammy Davis Jr. He had his head, you know, the little jawline, you know how Sammy had the little bang, bang, you know. He looked like Sammy Davis Jr. The only difference was he was a small dude too, like Sammy. Sammy Davis Jr. was a small dude. He was a small dude, but he was cut up. Because, you know, he in prison, he working out or whatever. He was cut up. But he was small. He couldn't have been no more, man, probably about 140 pounds. You know, little bitty dude, man. But, now, I don't know for sure. The rumor was on suicide, the reason why they called him suicide, because, you know, he had a lot of time, to my understanding, he had a lot of time won't getting out or whatever, and he was like, you know, on that, you know, that predatorial type stuff. And he used to, you know, his forte was, you know, pressing the little young dudes, particularly the white young dudes. And he had a way that he did it, man, you know what I'm saying, where he would just more or less be like stalking them, man. He just used to be weird. He used to do weird stuff, man. But he was an older dude at the time, too. He was older than me. I think at this time that I was on the phone, man, I might have been, maybe, let me see. Maybe early 30s, maybe 30, 31, somewhere up in there. No more than 32 years old. You know what I'm saying? I was in between that range or somewhere like that. So at that time, I would guesstimate, just looking at him, that he probably was about 40-something, you know what I'm saying? 40-something years old. And he had been down a while already. But, man, he was weird anyway. Not just the fact that he looked like Sammy Davis Jr., he just was weird. The way he did things, he was weird. He was like locked into a certain, you know, you get a lot of dudes in prison, man. They've been down for a while. They got their own routine. They got their own, I mean, it's to the T, man. This is how they do their time. They do this, they do that. They do every day is the same thing. And Suicide was really into music. He was really into that old school music. And when I tell you old school, I'm talking about like the Commodores, the Delphonics, and, you know, all of that. And he had all of these, yeah, this is how old we were. He had all these cassette tapes with all of this old music. And every day, man, he'd be playing that music in his cell. You could hear him all the time. Also, when he come out of the cell, we had the little boom boxes. He come out with his little boom box. He has headphones attached to him, and he playing on the headphones. He always wants somebody to listen to music. You know, yeah, you remember this? You remember this? And he'll put the little headphones up to you and let you hear the little old school music and everything, right? You know, the Shy-Lights and all of them. He loved that stuff. And he was, like I say though, but he was weird though. You could still feel his vibe that, you know, he weird. And then like when he see them little young dudes, man, especially the little young white dudes, it's like he go into a zone. He could be talking to you and everything, and one of the little young dudes that just got locked up walk by, or they, come in the block or something, and he talking to you like, yeah, about music, whatever. And then when I'm come by, he just lose his whole focus. He be like, yeah, well, like, what I was saying was about, the Delphonics, man. They was like, and you be like, suicide. He like, oh, yeah, what you was saying? And he just be locked in. Like he really, like, looking at a woman or something. He be locked in, man. Then he get to stalking them, and then he get to pressing them, and then, he goes, he waits for them. He grab his towel, grab his shower shoes, all his little shower bag, and he'll just stand out there and be just waiting and leaning on the rails and just talking or listening to music. But all the time, he just waiting for them young dudes to go in the shower. Because on Powhatan, State Farm, you ain't had no single showers. You had all group showers. You know what I'm saying? So he wait for him to go in the shower, and he going in the shower. You know what I'm saying? And now the rumor is that he get up in that shower, and he'll just get right beside the dudes up under the water and be, washing off, do whatever. But if the dude right here and he right here, he taking his shower just like this, facing them, and just just staring at them. Just staring at them. Looking them up and down, and these dudes is new, they green, they scared, and he got the snarl on his face, and they say he got the Bethlehem up in there too. You know what I'm saying? So he scanned the dudes, you know what I'm saying? And then he'll start, more or less, touching himself or whatever. And they right there. Now, any real man or any man that's not afraid, he gonna address that issue right there. I mean, buck naked and all. I mean, what you doing, man? Boop, boop, boop. That's the protocol. That's what you're supposed to do. That's the only way to address something like that. You know what I'm saying? Because you know what's going on. But being that they scared and they new and they green in the system and they don't really know nothing, and then they looking at him, and then they probably done heard little whispers in their ears about, how he is and then what he do. He done put some work in. He done, you know what I'm saying? He done put some work in. So with that aura around him, it scares them. So some of them, they'll freeze up and they don't do nothing. Not realize at the time that that's putting them in more jeopardy, because that's only going to fuel him to go further. You understand? And that's what he used to do, man. Remember I told y'all how Tuck used to walk around? Shout out to Tuck, man. Calvin Tucker, bad. Bum, bum, bum. You know what I'm saying? How Tuck used to walk to the shower naked, just with the towel on his joint, and walking his big old self down there buck naked in a hotel with 200 people in here. You know what I'm saying? Killers and everything, but Tuck is Tuck. Suicide used to do somewhat of the same. What he used to do is this, which to me, that's what I used to say, this dude's super weird. I remember when I first seen him, and before I even knew who he was and knew anything about him, my first impression was him. He's super, man, this dude weird as I don't know what. Suicide will go take a shower or something like that, and then he'll come out and he'll put his pajama top on and had the pajama top open, and he'll just wrap a towel around his waist. You know how people wrap the towel around the waist and half of their leg out, half of their thigh out. He in prison. He'll wrap the towel around his waist. Being that he was small, he could wrap the towel around his waist. He'll wrap the towel around his waist, tied up in a knot, had his shower shoes on or his boots on, and he'd be walking around the pod like that, man. He come downstairs, he all the way up on the top tier. He'll come all the way downstairs, go to the ice machine, be talking and walk. You got a towel on, Joe. You got a towel on. Ain't nobody trying to talk to you with no towel on, man. That's all he got on. And a pajama top. So, and I think he was doing that for certain reasons, whatever reasons. I can't get into that type of frame of mind. It would only be speculation. But to me, it was weird and it was crazy. But then what he'll do, he'll slide to one of them little young dudes' cell and knock on the door, and he got a cup of ice, and he just talking to him, trying to have a conversation. He trying to have a conversation with a towel on, dog. You know what I'm saying? And them dudes were scared to address that issue, and that just gave him fuel to do whatever it is that he wanted to do to press forward with them, because he knew that they was nervous pervs. You know what I'm saying? But he used to do that, man, and dudes that knew how to do time, or dude that was older, they used to be looking at him like, man, look at this joker, man, he at it again. You know, and he'd just go to them dudes' door, and they'd be scared to even say, man, I ain't trying to talk to you, or man, get away from my door, or whatever. And he'd be right there at the door, man, talking to him. And then as he's talking to him and he sees that they ain't doing nothing, he get more aggressive. You know what I'm saying? He get more aggressive. Now, first, like, you might see him standing out on the outside of the door, just, you know, eating ice and talking to him, whatever. Then the next thing you know, he all the way at the entry of the door. And then next thing you know, he leaning on the inside of the door where you can't see nothing but his back. Now, mind you, he got a towel on. So you can just imagine what he doing in front of these dudes, and they scared to say something. You know what I'm saying? They scared to say something, man. You know, and yeah, man, suicide was crazy, man. He was crazy like that, man. He was a wild cat, man, walking around looking like Sammy Davis Jr., you know, pressing these young dudes, man. And he got away with some too. He got away with some. And you know, then dudes, I told you, man, back then, you know, dudes were they was scared, and they was young, and they was green in the system like that, but they might have had family support. They might have had people with money. You know, they'll pay for protection. You know what I'm saying? But that was a double-edged sword too, depending upon who they pick. If they pick somebody that they think can keep the weight up off of them, but then that dude is just like as much as predator as this dude, then it's like you just invited the wolf into your house. You know what I'm saying? So that was a dangerous game too, but dudes would be trying to pay dudes to keep them up off of them. But when you dealing with a dude like suicide, you gonna have some problems. You know what I'm saying? Because if you pull up on them and tell them like, look, man, you know, you got, you know, back up all suicide. He more or less, he probably gonna try to buck. You know what I'm saying? He gonna try, man, I ain't trying to hurt none of that. You know what I'm saying? None of it. You know, he one of them. I ain't whatever. Don't. He gonna go get that thing, and he gonna be walking around that pod with them old funny moves, which we call when you know something getting ready to go on. Or he go put that coat on, and he walk around the whole block all day with that coat on, and he got that scrawl on his face. He more or less saying, "Come on with it." You know what I'm saying? Come on with it, cause I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? And then dudes, like I say, they had the mystique where they was a little leery of them, not just because of the work they put in, but because of the fact that, you know what I'm saying, people had the rumor out saying that he was sick. You know what I'm saying? Saying that he, you know, was sick, like, you know, the HIV thing. Don't nobody know or don't know. That was the rumor. And how that came about was people had been saying it about him, but then later on, they started doing this stuff where these people literally try to put a lawsuit on. I think I said something about this in one of them videos on Power 10. But they had came out with a mandatory class that was saying that anybody that was HIV positive or you know, actually had, you know, the AIDS virus or whatever, they had to attend this class. It was like on, you know, HIV awareness or AIDS awareness or whatever. But the class was mandatory. You know what I'm saying? Meaning that if they had already been you know, diagnosed as being sick, that they absolutely had to take this class. And if they didn't take this class, they was gonna get a charge or either be, you know, get locked up in segregation. So when you go to different spots and go to different places, when you're on a pass list to go to places, you have to be on the master pass list to go to these programs. Your name gonna be on there, your number gonna be on there, your cell number gonna be on there. It's letting you know, so it won't be no excuses why you didn't attend class or why you didn't go here or why didn't you go to school or you didn't go to you know, GED class or whatever, because your name is on the pass list. You can't say, I didn't know I was supposed to go. It's supposed to be your obligation every day to check the pass list. So when they came out with this program and they said the program was mandatory for people who was, you know, was ill or sick, they started posting the pass list on the bulletin board. So somebody got the bright idea to say, hey, this list right here is for people who supposed to be, you know, sick or something. So who names on this list? And they started looking at the names on the list, and that became a thing. Everybody was running around talking about that, man. Woo, woo, man. Hold up, man. Dude name on that list right there. And then dudes started coming up with excuses and saying, well, man, my name on the list because I'm facilitating the class, or and it was just crazy. It was chaos. It was crazy because dudes was trying to proclaim that they wasn't sick, and dudes was saying if your name on the list, you is sick. Now, I know it's all petty and it's all people personal business, but I feel like the administration knew that, and they did that, and that caused a lot of controversy. I'm talking about dudes went to war behind that, dudes got hurt behind that, dudes got to fighting, dudes and pulled that Bethlehem. There's a lot was going on behind that because dudes were saying, either one way or the other. They were saying, you put my name out there and you put me at risk. You telling people my personal business. You can't tell people my medical records and woo, woo, woo. I didn't tell nobody your medical records. You got my name on the list, so it automatically, assumes that and it was just chaos. So they started filing paperwork, all the dudes telling me, you got to take that list down. You can't be posting that list and, woo, woo, woo. And dudes started filing paperwork, and then dudes started trying to get a class action lawsuit saying that people was revealing their medical history, which is supposed to be private. I mean, it was just madness. All about them putting that list up there. But when that list was up there, suicide name was on that list. And suicide definitely won't feeling it, and he just be walking around gritting and everything, waiting for somebody to say something to him. But dudes, like I say, they put your name, your number, and your cell on the pass list, right up here on the wall. So it's right there on the bulletin board. So it just created a lot of chaos, man, a lot of controversy, and a lot of beefs. You know what I'm saying? But so you take that in consideration when dudes beefing with him or whatever, or got a problem with him. They got to worry about his reputation, and they got to worry about if they go to war with him. If blood gets shed, the exchange of blood. So you got to factor all of that in when you in prison. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a risk for you too. Say he hit you, he stabbed you, or you stab him, and then the blood, and y'all fighting or whatever, and then your blood is mixed, and then if you do survive, you might have caught something that might take you away. At the time, what we believe would take you away back then. So that all of that create a standoffish point of view when dealing with suicide, and he knew all of this, and he played to all of this because, like I say, he wasn't a big dude at all. He was a small cat. But he carried himself like, it is what it is. Come on with it. You know what I'm saying? You ain't just you ain't gonna handle me. You ain't gonna walk over me. You ain't gonna do none of that. You know what I'm saying? You gonna have to, put some work in messing with me. So he did what he wanted to do. And if anybody got in his business, he gonna stand up. You know what I'm saying? You gonna have issues with him. So when the young dudes in there and they trying to keep him up off of him, you know what I'm saying, they won't really have no whole lot of success with that. Unless they was throwing out some serious numbers, because then you got gorillas in there. You got some gorillas in there that's going to step to them anyway when you're talking that dollars. You know what I'm saying? If you're talking enough dollars, this dude's going to pull up on them. And if they got to go to war, they're going to go to war because dudes need that money and they want that money. You got dudes in there to take them type of contracts. You got dudes in there. I know dudes in there, that's all they do. And that's it. You know what I'm saying? You going to pay me for whatever, they going to do it. Whatever it is, they got some money involved with it, man. If it's go ahead on, hey, man, knock dude out, man. Or man, run him out the block, man. They with it. You know what I'm saying? Because they ain't got no income. They ain't got nobody sending them nothing. They ain't got no outside help. They done burnt their bridges with their family. Only thing they know is violence, so they stick to that because they can do that. You know what I'm saying? They can do that. So yeah, man. But suicide, man. He was he was definitely different, man. He was definitely different, man. His look, his whole, and he tried to get at the women. He stayed trying to get at the women, man. He be all up at the booth, and he'd sit there. He be take his headphones off and hold them up to the booth, and he got one on one ear, got the other one, like, you heard this before, you like this? Yeah, that's that old school right there. That's that old. And I'm telling y'all, man, I ain't trying to be funny or nothing, but every time I looked at him, the only thing used to come to my mind was shaboing, boing, You know what I'm saying? Sammy Davis Jr. with his mouth all, you know, because I'm telling you, man, this dude could go for Sammy's twin. They say everybody got a twin. To me, he was a spitting image of Sammy, man. Long hair, hair, stick to the back with the little part in it like Sammy. You know, the good hair too, you know, the long jaw, small frame, high shoulders. Man, he could have been Sammy Davis Jr.'s brother. You know what I'm saying? And but the only difference was, man, he was on some other stuff. You know what I'm saying? He on tap dancing and singing. He on some other stuff. You know, but yeah, and then another thing that festered the rumor that he was kind of ill because, you know, a lot of dudes on Powhatan was ill. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them. But see, Powhatan, and I think it's Powhatan and Greensville, two of the only institutions that I know of in VA that had actual medical facilities on the institution. Most of the time, if it's something that got to be a medical procedure done, something serious like, you know, operation or, you know, a cast or something like that, you have to be shipped out and go to the hospital, go to, you know, the nearest hospital, whatever. Powhatan had a medical unit on the facility. It was called like, I think like PMU or something, Powhatan Medical Unit, where they can do that type of stuff. They had actual surgeons or doctors or something adjacent to, you know, the compound over to the side. It was called PMU. Dudes had jobs that worked over there. So there was like, and like Greensville got the same thing, but they got I think they the only ones who had what you call it, dialysis, where dudes that was on dialysis, if you was on dialysis, you know, you had messed up kidneys or whatever, you had to be on dialysis, you had to be on Greensville because they was the only one that had the capability to, you know, do the dialysis machine on you or whatnot. So dudes that had that type of illness and they was on Greensville, they could never be transferred nowhere else as long as they was incarcerated because no one else could facilitate their medical needs. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, so you had Powhatan, you had Greensville, but I don't even think Powhatan had the dialysis machine. You had to be on Greensville. So being that they say suicide and been there 20-some years, you know what I'm saying? He ain't go nowhere. He never left. He never got transferred. So if you was sick and you was on there, then they not going to move you because this is the only place that can really facilitate whatever illness that you had, you know, where as to you wouldn't have to get shipped out if your illness was so bad that it needed immediate attention. You know, you was able to do it, which is oxymoron in itself because I done seen people just die because they couldn't even get to where they were supposed to get in time, and it's right there on the compound. I've seen that on Greensville. I've seen that on Powhatan. So it ain't serving the purpose that it's supposed to be there for because people still gonna move slow and gonna move at their own pace when it's your life at risk and not theirs. It ain't like what you see out here on the street when the ambulance going and they speeding and man, these people heard this, that some of them might be walking because they not even in enough shape to run. I have literally seen nurses, literally seen officers get a call go over the radio, you know, code blue, code this, whatever it is, and they walking. They walking because they ain't in no rush because it don't affect them no kind of way. You know what I'm saying? And some of them will be like, boom, they'll start off trying or whatever, and then they just stop. Huffing and puffing and just walking because they out of shape. But let that be an officer, the call come across the jump from, they moving at a rapid pace. They moving at a rapid pace. Why? Because they want to do that and show that they would do that because if they ever in that situation, they want them people to do that for them. So, but when it's a convict or an inmate, man, you on your own. You better pray. You better be saying silent prayers while you waiting for them to get there because even when they get there, they're going to be moving slow. Even when they get there, they know that they might need a gurney. They got to send for the gurney. They got to send for a wheelchair. They just move slow when it's at your, you know, expense. So, you know, yeah, man. But suicide, man. Suicide was a different dude, man. I don't know where he at now. I don't know if he's still locked up. If he is, he probably still on the phone, you know. And I don't know. I heard that he won't get out, but you never know. You know what I'm saying? And all I can say is, if you locked up and you young and you just getting in there, you don't want to run into them. That's the best I can tell you. If you get in there and you're locked up in Virginia and you run into somebody that might be a little old and look like Sammy Davis Jr., stay your distance. That's the best I can tell you. He ain't gonna sing you no song, he ain't gonna do no tap dancing, but he gonna wanna do something. That's a fact. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that was old Suicide, man. I just wanted to give y'all a little bit about him, man, because y'all kept asking about him on the comments, man. But that's a little bit about Suicide, man. Y'all let me know some other people I spoke of that y'all might want to, get a little bit more background on, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all be safe, be smart, make good decisions, man. I see y'all in 24 hours, man, with some more pure positivity, because that's what we on out there. Salute TBB, man. Stay tuned. Bang, 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 boom, 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 boom. And duck them hooks, man. And duck all suicides. Bang.
The banking special. Yeah. Pure deliciousness. Pure deliciousness, man.
My name is Banky, man. Everybody calls me Banky. That's the name that I got from my grandmother when I was young. I'm coming out here after 30 years. Yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm gonna have something because I'm rich in personality, and I'm rich in love. My family love me, and that's really all that counts.